So, what does it really take to pass a high school language exam? It's usually more than just learning vocabulary. Today, we're going to crack open a real 12th grade Hindi final from Uttar Pradesh, India, to see what complex skills are hiding inside. Let's dive in. And this is it, the cover page of that 100-point final. For millions of students, their entire future can really hinge on what they manage to write down in these pages in just over 3 hours. The pressure is just, wow, it's immense. But here's the thing, this is so much more than a simple language test. It's actually a deep dive into literature, history, philosophy, and even ancient languages. So what exactly is inside this thing? You ready to see if you'd make the cut? All right, here's our game plan for breaking this exam down. We'll start with the basic structure, then jump into a rapid-fire literary quiz. After that, we'll try decoding some prose and poetry, tackle some super short long-form answers, and even translate a little ancient Sanskrit. And at the end, we'll see what this test really cares about. Okay, Section 1, Cracking the Code. First things first, the paper is split into two big 50-point sections, Khand Ka and Khand Ka. A simple enough structure, right? But, of course, the real challenge is buried in the details. Moving on to Section 2, the rapid-fire literary knowledge part. And here's our first big surprise. This test doesn't ease you in with some simple grammar. No, it kicks off with a high-speed quiz on the entire history of Hindi literature. The first 10 questions are all multiple choice, 1 point each. And as you can see, they are packed in there. This is not a gentle warm-up, folks. It's an immediate test of how well you can recall very specific facts when you're under a ton of pressure. And the level of detail they expect is pretty incredible. For instance, one question asks, who is the author of the biography Aura Masiha? I mean, this goes way beyond just knowing the big famous authors. It's asking you to connect specific, maybe less common works to their creators. So this opening blitz isn't just testing one thing. It's testing a whole bunch. Students have to match authors to their books, identify genres, know all the different literary eras, and even remember who won major awards. It's a full-on sprint through literary history. All right, Section 3, Decoding prose and poetry. So after that mad dash of recall, students have to immediately switch gears, from spitting out facts to deep, thoughtful interpretation. In this part, students get a really dense passage of text they have almost certainly never seen before. They've got to read it, understand it, and analyze it well enough to answer 5 different questions, all for 10 points, and all while the clock is ticking. And out of all the questions they ask, this one is the real killer. Rekankat ansh ki vyakhya kijiye, which basically means explain the underlined portion. This isn't asking for a summary. It's demanding a seriously deep analysis of just a few words. So what does that actually involve? Well, first, the student has to somehow identify the original text and its author just from memory. Then they have to define keywords. After that, they have to unpack the deeper philosophical meaning of a single complex sentence. And on top of all that, they still have to answer other contextual questions. It's a massive, massive task. Okay, let's look at Section 4, Mastering the Long-Form Answer. The analytical skills just keep building from there. This is the part where students have to become both biographers and literary critics, but with a really interesting twist. And here is that twist. The exam asks students to write a literary biography of a major author in just 80 words. I mean, think about that. You have to summarize an entire lifetime of work and achievement in just a few short sentences. And it doesn't stop there. They get another 80-word challenge. Either analyze a major character's personality or summarize the plot of a whole story. This is a crazy test of their ability to be incredibly insightful and incredibly brief at the exact same time. So now we're into the second half of the paper, Section 5, the Grammar and Sanskrit Test. This is where the focus totally shifts from literary interpretation over to technical precision. And trust me, it brings in a whole new level of complexity. For starters, students are expected to translate a passage of Sanskrit, that's the classical ancient language of India, into modern Hindi. And this isn't just a word-for-word swap. They need to understand the grammar and provide context, basically bridging a gap of thousands of years of language evolution. And the grammar gets super specific. Take a look at this concept called samas, which is a compound word. It's the process of mashing words together to create a new one. So, for example, you take chakram, which means wheel, and panau, which means in hand, and you smash them together to get Sachakram, one who holds a wheel, which is often a name for the god Vishnu. Students have to be able to spot these and take them apart.
And that's just one little piece. This final section also tests poetic structures, figures of speech, formal essay, and letter writing on topics from national unity to student politics. Then you've got verb roots, suffixes, and sentence correction. The sheer breadth of it is just staggering.
All right, section 6, what this exam reveals. So after picking this whole thing apart, what does it really tell us about what it takes to pass? Well, when we actually break down the 100 points, the data tells a really surprising story. That whole section on rote memorization of literary history, it's only worth 10%. The real heavyweights are comprehension at 38% and creative and analytical writing at 37%. So this exam overwhelmingly favors understanding and expression over just remembering stuff.
And if there is one number that just perfectly captures the spirit of this test, it's 80. 80 words. That's all. A student gets to summarize an entire life's work or analyze a complex character. It's just a powerful symbol of the value this exam puts on precision, clarity, and the ability to boil down huge ideas.
So at the end of the day, this exam values 3 big things: breadth, depth, and speed. It's this comprehensive gauntlet of literary history, critical analysis, creative writing, and technical grammar, all happening under some really intense time pressure. You've got to be a real jack of all trades to succeed. Which really leaves us with one last question to think about. Does an exam this demanding, this intense, truly measure someone's mastery of a language? Or is it something else entirely? Maybe a brutal test of pure intellectual endurance?